The automotive world has been watching very closely as YouTuber and car builder Mat Armstrong takes on one of the most difficult rebuild projects ever attempted by an independent mechanic. The car at the center of the story is the incredibly rare and expensive Bugatti Chiron Per Sport, a hypercar that normally only factory engineers from Bugatti are trusted to repair. These cars are known for their extreme engineering, advanced technology, and complex construction. Because of this, most people believe that only Bugatti itself can properly rebuild one if it gets damaged. However, Mat Armstrong is trying to prove that this belief may not be completely true. The story began when Mat bought a badly damaged Chiron Per Sport that had previously been written off after an accident. For many people in the automotive world, a written-off Bugatti means a car will never return to the road again. Repairs for such cars can cost millions of dollars, and manufacturers often control the parts needed for repairs very tightly. This control means independent builders usually cannot access the official components required to fix the vehicle. Despite all of these challenges, Mat Armstrong decided to take the risk and try to rebuild the hypercar himself. His goal was not only to repair the car, but also to document every step of the process on his YouTube channel. Over the years, Mat has built a reputation for buying crashed supercars and rebuilding them step by step in his garage. His videos show the real process of fixing cars, including the mistakes, the unexpected problems, and the clever solutions needed to overcome them. This honesty has helped him gain millions of viewers who enjoy watching the journey from a destroyed car to a fully running machine again. However, the Bugatti rebuild is different from anything he has attempted before. The Chiron is one of the most complicated road cars ever made. It uses extremely advanced engineering, including a powerful quad-turbocharged engine, advanced aerodynamics, and complex structural parts made from lightweight materials. Because of this complexity, many experts believe that an independent builder would never be able to rebuild the car safely without help from Bugatti. At one point, even Mat Rimac, the head of the company that now oversees Bugatti, suggested that certain procedures on the car would be too difficult for someone outside the factory environment. One of those procedures involves splitting the car into major sections in order to access important components inside. According to the manufacturer's viewpoint, such work requires specialized tools, factory knowledge, and trained engineers. But Mat Armstrong decided to attempt to rebuild anyway. Instead of hiding the process, he chose to film every stage and share it with millions of viewers online. This decision changed the situation completely. By documenting the rebuild publicly, Mat turned a private garage project into a global automotive story. Every step he takes is now watched by car fans, mechanics, engineers, and even people inside Bugatti itself. The rebuild has become more than just fixing a damaged car. It has become a challenge to the long-standing belief that hypercars must always rely on the manufacturer for repairs. Through careful planning, help from specialists, and modern tools, such as 3D scanning and custom fabrication, Mat is attempting to prove that independent builders may have more ability than many manufacturers admit. As the project continues, each new discovery about the car brings both excitement and new problems to solve. Some parts may be reparable, while others may need to be completely recreated from scratch. But one thing is already clear. The rebuild has captured the attention of the entire automotive community, and the outcome could change how people think about repairing the world's most exclusive cars. As the rebuild of the Bugatti Chiron Per Sport continued, the situation between Mat Armstrong and Bugatti became even more interesting. The biggest challenge Mat faced was not only the physical damage to the car, but also the difficulty of getting official parts from the manufacturer. Many luxury car companies carefully control who can buy their parts, especially when it comes to extremely expensive hypercars like the Chiron. Their reason is usually safety. These vehicles are incredibly powerful machines, and if they're repaired incorrectly, they could become dangerous. Because of this, manufacturers prefer that repairs are done only through their own approved workshops and technicians. In the case of Mat Armstrong's rebuild, Bugatti decided not to sell him the parts needed for the project. From the company's point of view, the decision was based on safety concerns, since Mat had never worked on a Bugatti before. However, this created a major obstacle for the rebuild. Without access to official parts, many people believed the project would eventually fail. Instead of giving up, Mat decided to address the situation directly. In one of his videos, He shared a message that was clearly aimed at Bugatti, but delivered in a calm and respectful way. He explained the progress that had already been made on the car and acknowledged that he understood why the company might be worried about an independent builder working on such a complex machine. At the same time, he also made it clear that he intended to continue to rebuild even without their support. Importantly, Mat was careful not to make the situation personal. In fact, he specifically mentioned mate Rimac, the current head of the company that manages Bugatti, and suggested that the decision might not come directly from him. Mat explained that if it were up to Rimac personally, the situation might be different and the parts might already be on their way. By making this distinction, Mat avoided blaming a single individual and instead focused on the broader corporate decision. This approach was both respectful and strategic. It showed that he was not trying to start a conflict, but was simply determined to finish the project he had started. His message ended with a short but powerful statement. If Bugatti would not sell the parts, he would find another way to rebuild the car. For many viewers, this moment became one of the most memorable parts of the project. It showed Mat's determination and confidence, but also highlighted the larger issue that many independent mechanics face when working on modern vehicles. As cars become more advanced, manufacturers often keep tighter control over information, tools, and replacement parts. This can make repairs outside the official network extremely difficult. However, technology is also changing the situation. Tools like 3D scanning, computer-aided design, and precision machining allow skilled engineers to recreate complex components without access to the original factory parts. Mat's rebuild is becoming a real-world example of how these modern tools can challenge traditional limitations. While the message of Bugatti was calm and respectful, it also carried a clear message. The rebuild will continue no matter what. This determination is one of the main reasons the project has attracted so much attention online. Millions of viewers are now following the story, not just to see whether the car will run again, but also to see whether an independent builder can succeed where many believed only a manufacturer could. As the rebuild moves forward, each new step brings Mat closer to answering that question, and the entire automotive community continues to watch with curiosity and excitement as the rebuild of the Bugatti Chiron Per Sport continued to gain attention. Something interesting happened that showed how big the project had become online. The work of Mat Armstrong was not only being watched by car fans, but also recognized by the platform where he shares his videos, YouTube. Over the years, Mat has built a large audience by doing something very simple but powerful. He shows the real process of rebuilding crashed cars. Instead of only showing the final result, his videos include every stage of the journey. Viewers see the damage, the investigation, the mistakes, the learning process, and finally the moment when the car comes back to life. This honest style of content has helped him build a strong connection with his audience. People feel like they are part of the project, watching the rebuild happen step by step. As the Bugatti project grew bigger, the attention around his channel also increased. Millions of people began following the series because the challenge itself was so unusual. Rebuilding an everyday car is already difficult, but rebuilding one of the most advanced hypercars ever built is something very few people have even attempted. Because of this, each new video about the project quickly gathered huge numbers of views. Around this time, Mat received a special package from YouTube. In one of his videos, he opened the package in front of the camera and showed viewers what was inside. The gift included a custom jacket with his channel name on it and a message thanking him for creating content. For Mat, this was a fun and exciting moment, and he clearly appreciated the recognition. His dog, Kevin, even joined the scene and added a bit of humor as Mat tried to show the jacket to the camera. While this moment might seem small compared to the massive challenge of rebuilding the Chiron, it actually represents something important. Platforms like YouTube do not send recognition packages to creators randomly. They usually do this when creators build a strong community and consistently produces content that viewers enjoy. In Mat's case, the Bugatti Rebuild series has become one of the most talked about automotive stories on the platform. The videos combine technical work, storytelling, suspense, and personality, which makes them appealing to a wide audience. Some viewers watch because they love cars, while others watch simply because they enjoy following a difficult challenge being solved step by step. The recognition from YouTube also shows how the internet has changed the way people experience large engineering projects. In the past, rebuilding a rare hypercar would have happened quietly inside a private workshop, and only a few people would ever hear about it. Today, the process can be shared with millions of viewers around the world in real time. Every success and every setback becomes part of the story. This level of transparency is one of the reasons a project feels so exciting to watch. Instead of waiting until everything is finished, viewers are able to follow the journey as it happens. They can see the real problems that appear and the creative solutions needed to solve them. This kind of storytelling is exactly what keeps audiences returning for the next update. Each video ends with new questions. What damage will they find next? Will the part be reparable? Can they create a replacement if the original component is unavailable? These questions build anticipation and keep viewers interested in the series. As a result, the Bugatti rebuild has become more than just a mechanical project. It has turned into an online event that combines engineering, entertainment, and storytelling. With millions of people watching every update, the rebuild now carries a level of attention that few independent car projects have ever experienced. One of the most important and dramatic moments in the rebuild of the Bugatti Chiron Per Sport came when Mat Armstrong and his team attempted a procedure that many people believe would be nearly impossible outside the factory. In order to properly inspect and repair the damage, the car needed to be split into major sections. This process is extremely complicated because the Chiron is built in a very unique way. The car uses a strong carbon fiber structure that connects several major components together, including the engine, gearbox, and front structure. To reach certain parts inside the vehicle, technicians must carefully separate sections of the car without damaging the delicate materials or the precise engineering that holds everything together. Normally, this kind of work is done by highly trained engineers inside specialized facilities operated by Bugatti. Because of this, many experts believe an independent builder would not have the tools or knowledge required to safely perform the procedure. Earlier in the project, comments made by Mate Rimac suggested that splitting the car would be extremely difficult for anyone outside the official Bugatti environment. These comments made the challenge even more interesting for viewers because it created a clear test of whether the rebuild could continue successfully. If Matt could not complete this step, the project might stop completely. When the time finally came to attempt a split, the moment carried a lot of tension. Millions of viewers have been following the series and knew how important this step would be. Instead of rushing the process, Matt approached the task slowly and methodically. He carefully studied the structure of the car and documented each step of the procedure on camera. Special tools were used to support the vehicle and keep everything aligned while the components were separated. Throughout the process, the focus was on patience and precision. Every bolt and connection had to be handled carefully to avoid creating new damage. When the major sections of the car were finally separated successfully, it became one of the most significant milestones of the entire rebuild. Not only did it prove that the procedure could be done outside the factory, but it also allowed Matt and his team to see the internal condition of the car for the first time. With the vehicle now split, previously hidden areas were exposed, including the gearbox and other important components. This gave the team the opportunity to examine the damage in detail and begin planning the next stage of the rebuild. For viewers watching the series, this moment felt like a major victory. It showed that careful planning and determination could sometimes overcome the limitations that manufacturers believe exist for independent builders. However, the successful split did not mean the hard work was finished. In fact, it revealed many new challenges that would need to be solved before the car could ever drive again. Some components looked reparable, while others appeared to require major work or replacement. The gearbox, in particular, became one of the biggest question marks in the entire project. If the internal damage was too severe, finding a replacement could be extremely difficult because such parts are rarely available outside official Bugatti channels. Even so, the successful separation of the car changed the direction of the project in an important way. It proved that the rebuild was still moving forward and that obstacles once considered impossible might actually be solvable with the right combination of skill, technology, and persistence. For Mat Armstrong and the millions of viewers following his progress, the split marked a moment when the project truly began to feel achievable. After successfully splitting the Bugatti Chiron Per Sport, Mat Armstrong and his team were finally able to inspect parts of the car that had been hidden since the project began. One of the most important components now visible was the gearbox. In any high-performance car, the gearbox is responsible for transferring power from the engine to the wheels. In the case of the Chiron, this component is even more critical because the car produces an enormous amount of power. The engine in the Chiron is designed to generate well over 1,000 horsepower, which means the gearbox must be incredibly strong and precisely engineered to handle that force. Because of this complexity, the gearbox quickly became one of the biggest mysteries of the entire rebuild. When Mat first bought the damaged Bugatti, the full extent of the internal damage was unknown. Some problems were easy to see from the outside, such as broken body panels and structural parts, but many of the most expensive and complicated components were hidden deep inside the car. The gearbox was one of those hidden parts. Until the car was separated into sections, there was no way to properly inspect it. Now that it was finally visible, the team could begin the careful process of examining it. This moment was extremely important because the condition of the gearbox could determine whether the rebuild would be practical or incredibly difficult. If the internal parts of the gearbox were only slightly damaged, then repair might be possible with the help of specialists. However, if the damage was severe, the team might need to find a complete replacement. That would create a major challenge, because such a component is not something that can easily be purchased from normal suppliers. Manufacturers like Bugatti usually keep strict control over their most advanced mechanical parts. Replacement gearboxes for hypercars are rarely available on the open market, and even if one could be found, the cost would likely be extremely high. Because of this uncertainty, Mat approached the inspection process with great care. Instead of rushing to conclusions, the team documented everything step by step. Specialists were consulted to help analyze the condition of the parts and determine whether repair would be possible. This careful approach reflects one of the most important aspects of Mat's rebuilding style. Throughout his YouTube projects, he rarely makes quick decisions when dealing with complex mechanical problems. Instead, he gathers information, asks experts for advice, and takes time to understand the situation before choosing a solution. This method reduces the risk of making expensive mistakes and also helps viewers learn more about how complicated repairs are actually performed. The gearbox inspection also reminded viewers of how advanced modern hypercars really are. While many people think of cars simply as engines and wheels, vehicles like the Chiron are closer to highly engineered machines built with cutting-edge technology. Every component is designed to work perfectly with the others, which means repairing them requires a deep understanding of how the entire system operates. As the team continued examining the gearbox, viewers waited to see what the final assessment would reveal. Could the part be repaired, or would it require a completely new solution? Either outcome would bring new challenges, but the project had already shown that difficult problems could often be solved with creativity and persistence. Regardless of the result, the gearbox inspection represented another crucial step in understanding what it would take to bring the Chiron back to life. With each new discovery, the rebuild moved closer to answering the biggest question of all. Could an independent builder truly restore one of the world's most complex hypercars without direct support from the manufacturer? As the rebuild of the Bugatti Chiron Per Sport moved forward, Mat Armstrong faced another major challenge: replacing parts that could not be purchased from Bugatti. Since the company had decided not to sell him certain components, the team had to find a completely different solution. Instead of relying on factory parts, they began using modern engineering technologies to recreate some of the damaged pieces themselves. This is where tools like 3D scanning and CNC machining became extremely important. These technologies allow engineers to copy and reproduce complex parts with incredible accuracy. The process usually begins with a 3D scan of the original component. A specialized scanner captures the exact shape, size, and structure of the part, creating a digital model inside a computer. This digital model can then be studied carefully, allowing engineers to understand how the component was originally designed. If the original part is damaged, the digital model can also be repaired or improved before a new version is manufactured. Once the digital design is ready, a CNC machine can be used to create the new component from solid material, such as aluminum or steel. CNC stands for Computer Numerical Control, which means the machine is guided by precise computer instructions. It cuts and shapes the material with incredible precision, sometimes down to tiny fractions of a millimeter. This technology has become widely used in modern engineering because it allows complex parts to be produced accurately and repeatedly. In the case of the Chiron rebuild, one of the most important components being recreated is a large aluminum structure located at the front of the car. This structure is sometimes referred to as a horseshoe because of its curved shape. It plays a crucial role in supporting the front of the vehicle and helping distribute forces during driving. Normally, this part will be produced by Bugatti using specialized casting techniques inside their factory. Without access to the original part, Mat's team had to find another way to create it. By scanning the damaged component and turning it into a digital design, engineers were able to analyze its structure and plan how to reproduce it using CNC machining. Interestingly, the team did not simply copy the original design exactly. Instead, they looked for ways to improve the part using modern manufacturing methods. This shows another advantage of independent engineering solutions. When builders are not limited by factory processes, they sometimes have the freedom to experiment with new approaches that may even strengthen the final result. Of course, recreating such an important structural part requires great care and expertise. If the component is not designed correctly, it could affect the safety and performance of the entire car. For this reason, the team worked closely with experienced specialists who understand both advanced manufacturing and high-performance automotive engineering. Every measurement and design choice had to be carefully reviewed before production could begin. This stage of the rebuild highlights how modern technology is changing the world of automotive repair. In the past, replacing a unique factory part without access to the original manufacturer would have been extremely difficult or even impossible. Today, digital design tools and advanced machining equipment give skilled engineers the ability to recreate parts with remarkable accuracy. While the process still requires knowledge and precision, it demonstrates that independent builders are becoming more capable than ever before. As Mat Armstrong continues documenting each step of the process on YouTube, viewers are able to see how these advanced technologies work in real situations. The rebuild is no longer just about fixing a damaged car. It has also become an educational journey that shows how modern engineering tools can solve problems that once seemed impossible. As the rebuild of the Bugatti Chiron per Sport continued, Mat Armstrong began working with several independent specialists who could help repair different parts of the car. Rebuilding a hypercar is not something one person can do alone, especially when many of the components are extremely complex. Instead of trying to handle every task himself, Mat relied on experts who had experience repairing high-performance automotive parts. One of the most important areas that required attention was the cooling system. High-performance cars like the Chiron produce a huge amount of heat because their engines generate so much power. To keep everything operating safely, the car uses multiple radiators to control temperature and protect the engine and other mechanical systems. When the damaged Chiron was first inspected, many people believed that the radiators were beyond repair. In fact, the general impression left by Bugatti was that the damage to these parts was so severe that they would likely need to be replaced entirely through official channels. However, Mat decided to send the radiators to a specialist in the United Kingdom for a detailed inspection. This specialist, known simply as Bob in the videos, has many years of experience repairing complex radiator systems used in performance vehicles. After examining the components carefully, Bob delivered surprising news. None of the radiators were completely destroyed. Instead, the damage appeared reparable with the right techniques. This discovery was very important for the rebuild project. If the radiators had needed full replacement, obtaining new ones could have been extremely expensive and difficult without direct support from Bugatti. Repairing them instead meant that the team could continue moving forward without relying on factory parts. The repair process involved carefully inspecting the metal cores, fixing any leaks, and restoring the internal passages that allow coolant to flow through the system. Radiator repair requires delicate work because the thin metal fins and channels inside can easily be damaged further if handled incorrectly. Specialists must use precise tools and methods to ensure that the cooling system will function properly once it is reinstalled in the car. For viewers following the rebuild series online, this moment provided another example of how independent experts can solve problems that initially seem impossible. It also highlighted the importance of